I'd like to welcome you today to the National Learning Community 988 listening session. Today we'll be discussing the 988 system. And want to let you know this webinar is being recorded and all phone lines will be muted, but we will have a period of time where you can answer questions or ask questions in the chat box. Feel free to use the chat box anytime during the webinar, and we'll be able to get those questions answered for you as well. We'll have some links to share in the chat box too, so pay close attention to that. And I'll turn this over to Verna, who will go over some information with us. Thank you.
Miigwech, Mark, thank you so much. Yes, and as a reminder, I want to share that our National Learning Community gatherings began during the pandemic to increase grantee communications and share those programmatic adaptations necessary during that time to continue to serve communities and continue the efforts to connect. And so with that, we've seen many challenges and triumphs over the last 3.5 years and continue to look forward with that progress as moving through these ever-changing needs continues. And we're so happy to be able to maintain this NLC gathering space and this platform and effort to share and enjoy time with you all as we work towards shared prevention efforts across Indian country. And as you will see, we have a robust agenda ahead of us this morning. So I want to start with an introduction and we'll get moving right along. So Buju Anin Verna Mickelson Indigenous Cause, Kawaba Biganakag Dunjaba. Welcome and hello. I'm Verna Mickelson. I am a member of the White Earth Band of Ojibwe, which is located in northwestern Minnesota, where I currently reside near the Bemidji service area. I am the daughter of an 84-year-old Ikwe. Mama is a boarding school survivor whose upbringing, her background, and her resiliency drives my passion for prevention efforts as we have felt that ripple effect and impacts of intergenerational trauma throughout our family. And so professionally, I join you as a Native Connections technical assistant and the 988 task lead. I've enjoyed working with the Native Connections communities over the last 6 years and 988 efforts over the last year. And again, as you see, we have a full agenda in front of us today, which we are so appreciative of your time joining us. And as a update, so we're going to look at a brief update background of the overview of 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline with that first year of review to that 3-digit transition number. We will review our Tribal TTA Center efforts as well in identifying tribal communications and partnerships at local levels. We are pleased to have representation from the Native and Strong Lifeline joining us today. We will learn more about their efforts from Ms. Rochelle Hamilton, Director of Tribal Services at Volunteers of America, Western Washington, where she oversees the Native and Strong Lifeline, Tribal 988, and the Native Resource Hub. Equally important today, through our listening session portion, we will look to you, grantees, for feedback on areas around needs, challenges, and successes in working with the National Lifeline and local crisis response teams. We will take time for additional comments, questions, and your updates that you may have to share and gather with us today at the conclusion of this gathering. And so with that, before we move to the bulk of our work ahead, I would like to introduce my colleague, Ms. Regina Murillo, our 988 TTA coordinator here at the Tribal TTA Center. Regina.
Hey everyone, my name is Regina Murillo, Tribal Technical Assistant for 988. I'm an enrolled tribal member of the Gabrielino Tongva Nation and also a descendant of the Kumeyaay Nation from Southern California. I'm happy to join you all today and I hope you enjoy today's NLC. Thank you, Verna.
Miigwech, Regina. So glad to have you on board and alongside with this effort. So miigwech, thank you. And as we get settled in and prepared to begin, I hope you've refilled your hot water, your hot tea, coffee mugs, and are getting settled and comfortable as we prepare to begin. We would like to ask for a grantee volunteer to open us up in a good way. As always, we love to start off with your strength, your energy, and that can be good words. It can be a prayer, a song, And so I'll ask for a grantee participant if anyone is willing to volunteer and open us up. If you're comfortable coming on video, unmuting, that would be fabulous. We'll give you a minute in case you're still connecting with us. Do we see any hands, any volunteers by grantees yet? I'm not seeing anyone come on camera or unmute, and that's okay. We like to start in a good way regardless, and so that's okay. I'm not seeing anyone unmute yet and volunteers. So with that, Regina has graciously prepared for us to open us in that good way. So Regina, again, Miigwech, and thank you. I'll turn it over to you for our opening today.
Thank you, Verna, and I am grateful and honored that I'm able to do this for you all. I'm going to light some medicine. If you're not familiar, white sage comes from the Southern California area. Our family grows this medicine, and so I want to be able to offer some of that to you guys while I sing the song. The song I'm going to be singing for you all today is a grandmother song, and it's a Chumash grandmother song. And what I was taught about this song is that our grandmothers are caring for us. They guide us, they protect us, and they're always with us, right? And so I'm going to turn off my screen while I do this for you. If I sing the song and you know it, please sing along with me. If you're familiar in the song and I'm not doing it correctly, please let me know. I'm always open to learning, but I bring the song to you in a good way. Moi moi na kaua no. Moi 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 o ne yo koraling. Moi moi yo koraling. Moi moi na kaua no. No ko. Moi moi o ne yo koraling. Moi moi yo ko. Moi moi na kaua no. Moi moi na ko. Moi moi no ko. Moi moi o ne yo koraling. Moi moi yo koraling. Moi moi no kaua no. Moi moi no ko. Moi moi no moi ko. Moi moi o ne yo koraling. Moi moi yo koraling. Oh, thank you, Verna.
Miigwech, Regina, beautiful way to open us. Thank you so much and appreciate that beautiful opening for us this morning. Thank you so much. And at this time, we will carry on. And thank you again in such a good way. We get to join in this time together. As I shared that agenda, we have a robust schedule ahead of us in the next 90 minutes that we like to get through. And so with that, I hope grantees are raring and ready to go, as we would like this, as always, to be interactive. And so with that, we're going to start off with introductions. And while our grantees are sharing the information on the screen there, it looks like we have a couple of GPOs on the call this afternoon. Chi McGuich, thank you so much for making time to join us across Native Connections, our government project officers with SAMHSA. And it looks like we have Erin and Delshana. If you would like, please feel free to take a moment, come on video, unmute, and introduce yourselves. And we would like to say again, thank you for joining us. Grantees, please feel free to start entering in the chat your name, your position, your program name, and we want to know, what is your favorite Halloween candy of all days, right? It looks like Lenora's on. There's a couple of GPOs, so I'm going to give a pause. And if any GPOs are able to join us on video and share your name and say good morning, good afternoon, that would be fabulous. Ajalon, good afternoon, good to see you.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone.
Good. Hi, Lenora.
Hi, how is everyone? So excited to be here and as always to learn even more about what you guys are doing. Favorite Halloween candy is gummy bears, even though it's not a Halloween candy.
Perfect.
So I'm looking forward to learning more about what you guys will be talking about today. Thank you.
Good, Lenora. Delshana, who's you? Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Nice to be here. This is my first meeting, so nice meeting you all. My favorite Halloween candy would be Snickers.
Sounds good. Thank you. Good afternoon, Erin.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Erin Atwaru. I'm a new GPO with SAMHSA, and we're just really excited to be here and be working with you all. I think my favorite Halloween candy is probably Reese's peanut butter cups.
A classic. I love it. Any other GPOs that we have on that I may not see it? And perhaps you're chiming in the chat, so that's great.
We
How
do
about you,
have some chat, Verna. We have Marty who said Reese's and gummies. John said Snickers. Aaron from the Seminole Tribe of Florida, Crunch Bar.
Ooh.
We also have Rebecca Johnson, Community Outreach Prevention and Education Specialist, Sage Memorial Hospital. She likes Kit Kat, Reese's, and gummy bears. And then Aaron, we have a new GPO is saying, looking forward to working with you all. Kiara from Zuni Youth Enrichment Project, Blow Pops. And then Bowen Cho, AmeriCorps Sport Pack, candy corn. We all like that candy corn. And I think everybody does. Jenna Killips, Native Connections Program Manager, Intertribal Council. My favorite Halloween candy is Reese's. And we have Bobby from Youth Initiative Specialists from, I hope I say this correctly, Kawarok Inc., Snickers Bar. Valerie said Smarties. She likes those Smarties. Angela Daly, Native Connections Project Director for Kickapoo Tribal Health. She likes those Reese's Cups. Jewel Cunningham, Native Connections, Sour Patch Kids. We have some Charleston Chews. And we have someone who said, what is that? Siaosi Tao. I hope I said that correctly and forgive me if I didn't. All the candy, like every candy. I think I can go with that one too. And then Sage is from Granado, Arizona on the Navajo Reservation. We have Bobby who likes peanut butter cups. Marissa Key, Community Outreach Prevention and Education Specialist. Halloween candy is Werther's Original. We also have some just anything chocolate, Kit Kats. No one said Twix. I love those Twix. Like they're, I don't know, the little mini ones, I think because they're mini and I don't know, the crunchy, they have it all. So back to you, Verna.
Awesome. Yes, and lots of these candies are fortunately year-round, right? So good. You're getting us all ready for the evening ahead. Thank you so much for sharing those out and making us all ready for afternoon snack. So moving along. Yes, thank you so much, Regina, for reading those and sharing those out. And we'll move on to our objectives for today.
Yes, some of our objectives for today are some goals today is to give you information that assists in you in understanding 98. We will share updates of 98, what our other communities approach in assessing and promoting their 98 programs. And we're also going to share how 98 is impacting tribal communities and how you too can get involved in the 98 program. In regards to about 98, this slide gives you a little bit of insight of what 988 is, what's been going on. But Mark is going to put in some additional information on some web links that you can go into. You can save these web links on your browser, so you can go back after the webinar and review them in more depth. But one of them is going to be about 988 on the SAMHSA webpage, and then the different call centers and locations, and then the crisis centers where they're located throughout the United States.
Yes, so we would like to, again, look at that year in review. During that first year of the transition from that long 11-digit number condensed down into the nice 3-digit, easy to remember number, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline has seen significant increase in connecting with individuals. Let's take a look at how these connections have increased. And we can jump ahead to the next slide yet. Yes, and so this info sheet as well can be found on SAMHSA's website. And it's the fact sheet, the 988 Lifeline's first year. And the 988 milestones to date are highlighted here. Beautiful printout, easy to share information, and how accessible and reached 988 has been to date. So in the first year rolling out 988 with the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, the line answered nearly 5 million contacts. That is nearly 2 million more than the previous 12 months. And of the nearly 5 million answered, about 665,000 of those were via text messaging. The average speed to answer decreased from 2 minutes, 39 seconds to 41 seconds. And so the year-to-year dates were July of 22 to July of 23, and that is all reflected here. And to share out a bit of the Tribal TTA Center's 988 efforts, we were able to work with partners across SAMHSA leadership, federal partners, and communities. And if you wanted to jump to the next slide, please, that there will depict some of the efforts that we were able to take on in that first year, and primarily including how to reach, right? How to share, how to learn more about 988 for starters, because a lot of people, and even yet, we will encounter those conversations where someone is not familiar with 988. And so making it accessible and understandable, providing some basic information with an info sheet, and then developing our 988 Tribal Toolkit, along with 988 Tribal Social Marketing Toolkit as well. We have some lovely images, as you see on the screen, that youth have really enjoyed when we're on site providing TA and doing outreach. Making these accessible, something vibrant and bright and relatable with our indigenized images and communities. So those are a couple of samples here. And Regina has taken time to share those. And Mark, thank you so much for putting those in the chat if you would like to access. And if you would like follow up downloading those or saving and have any barriers or challenges in that, just reach out to me and Regina, and we'll be happy to get those to you. We also work to conduct subject matter expert interviews throughout the last year, finding out what challenges and successes around accessing 988 in tribal communities look like in that experience. We held those via listening sessions with Native Connections communities here virtually, similarly as today, as well as on site with the regional site visits. And we're able to find some common themes across Indian country on those successes and challenges. And some really good examples you are all doing out there.
Thank you, Verna. Our tribal training and technical assistance centered efforts focus on gaining local insight around our tribal partners, their needs, their challenges, and their successes. When working with 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, ways we are working on gaining insight includes listening sessions such as today's and interviewing SME across Indian country. We will compile that information and provide input to SAMHSA, highlighting areas identified. We are going to get an example of this from our guest speaker, Rochelle Hamilton, with the Native and Strong Lifeline at Volunteers of America, and what these efforts look like in their work in collaboration with 988 Lifeline. Welcome, Rochelle.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'm going to share my screen with you and do the best I can anyway to do so. Okay. Okay, does this look right?
Looks good, Rochelle.
Perfect, okay. Uklasan Sainoaxa Kul As MT. Rochelle Hamilton Uklas Lamamurthli Anti Ehadis Aksop. My English name is Rochelle Hamilton. My traditional name is Sainoaxa, meaning faraway woman. I am an enrolled member of the Hadisat Nation, Hadisat First Nation located on northern Vancouver Island, British Columbia. I am also a descendant of the Tulalip tribes of Washington State, which is where I live and call home. Everett, Washington is the home of the Native and Strong Lifeline, and I am the Director of Tribal Services at Volunteers of America, Western Washington. So one thing that I know isn't traditional is for a tribal person to do an acknowledgement on their own territories or in the vicinity of those territories. But really, I'm going to read this to you because I think it's really important on behalf of Volunteers of America, Western Washington, as they've been incredible allies and just amazing people to work with for the Native and Strong Lifeline. We want to acknowledge that Volunteers of America, Western Washington is on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish peoples, particularly Tulalip, Snohomish, Stillaguamish, and Soxwalo. These tribes and nations ceded millions of acres of land in exchange for a small amount of money and permanent protection by the United States government under the Treaty of Point Elliott in 1855. This treaty preserved the right of Native people to retain their fishing, hunting, and gathering rights, and it remains as relevant today as it was the day that it was signed. A responsibility to recognize the injustices of colonization, stolen land, forced assimilation, dispersion, and violence is the foundation of a pledge to address enduring trauma by becoming better allies to our tribal communities. We see you, we seek to cultivate authentic relationships and honor our commitments. We respect our sovereignty and right of self-determination. Accordingly, we challenge all who engage with us in our mission of strengthening our communities to actively support Native peoples, embrace our narratives, advocate for equitable opportunities, endorse Native-owned businesses, and honor their lands and waters by being a good steward of the earth. So today's goals, I'm going to give you a brief background of who we are, the Native and Strong Lifeline, what we do, and what we're up to. We're going to share some of our challenges and our victories over the past year. We are coming up on a one-year anniversary here soon. We're going to give an update on where we are headed and hopefully answer any questions and listen to any ideas that you all might have. So what is the Native and Strong Lifeline? Some of you are aware and some of you are not. So I'll give you the background. The Native and Strong Lifeline is the first statewide American Indian and Alaska Native specific suicide and crisis line. We went live on November 10th, 2022. Native and Strong is a part of Washington State 988 funding. In fact, Representative Orwell in Washington State has stated that it really was the first thing that was funded out of 988 funds. So Native and Strong was thought of first, which is really amazing. The Native and Strong Lifeline exists because of the passage of House Bill 1477, which acknowledged the need for this service because of the 29 federally recognized tribes in Washington State. The Native and Strong Lifeline is operated by and for Indigenous people. So while we are housed at VOA, which is not a tribal organization, all of our tribal programs are fully operated by tribal people. So how does it work? The Native and Strong Lifeline is accessible by dialing 988 and selecting option 4. It's important to note, because things are not perfect yet, this is based in area codes. So if you have a Washington State area code and you dial 988, you'll hear 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line, 2 for the Spanish speaking line, 3 for the Trevor Project, and 4 for the Native and Strong Lifeline. Native and Strong Lifeline is operational 24/7, 365 days a year. Native and Strong Lifeline calls are always answered by other Native people. Native and tribal crisis counselors answer with their tribal affiliation first. Our Native and Strong Lifeline counselors include enrolled tribal members and descendants who are closely affiliated with their communities or tribes. So this is not an instance of maybe potentially I have some Native ancestry somewhere. It really is being connected with your community, knowing your people, knowing what our needs are, understanding historical and intergenerational trauma. So who can access it? I think this is one of the most beautiful parts of this service. Any tribally affiliated person in the state of Washington. So this includes American Indians, Alaska Natives, First Nations, tribally enrolled and unenrolled people who are of Indigenous descent. The service is not specific to any one Washington state tribe, but is inclusive of all tribal people in the state, whether their tribal home is in Washington or elsewhere. And it should be noted in Washington, we have lots of people moving around, lots of transplants, and it's pretty awesome. It's really a diverse Native community here. So not only can individuals access our service, but also a concerned family member, a relative, a friend, Indian healthcare providers, social workers, anyone that you can think of that would want to help another Native person. They're always welcome to call for support for the person, for themselves, or to get resources. So again, one of the magical things about the Native and Strong Lifeline is that our staff is all Native, which is awesome. And this means that we have a wide variety of people on our lines that care to listen to you. So when you call your Native person calling Native and Strong Lifeline, you know that your counselor is there because they want to be there and they want to hear from you. One of the things that's really important to note is that when you call us, you are connecting with a trained crisis counselor. So I know in the beginning, a lot of people had questioned whether or not the Native and Strong Lifeline staff would be trained. And we are trained just as the non-tribal Lifeline is trained with an added tribal curriculum that we've created. So we go through the non-tribal Lifeline training, but then we also have additional training that we've created ourselves. The training difference, of course, is adding traditional and cultural elements, as well as training on historical and intergenerational trauma. And so while we don't all share the same cultural things, we don't always have the same spiritual and traditional practices, we know that each other has practices, and it's something that we can discuss as Native people. This is a very small fraction from our launch date. Some of our counselors at the Native and Strong Line, we currently have 23 full-time employees with 3 open seats. This includes a director of tribal services manager, Native and Strong Lifeline coordinator, and our sister program, the Native Resource Hub coordinator. But of course, nothing happens without our tribal crisis counselors. They are amazing, and we are so happy to have them. This is just a little bit of an overview. We're hiring more people right now, so not every tribe is represented. But our counselors and management team come from all across the country from various tribes, and this is just a small representation of some of those tribes. One of the important things that we've done is not only hiring from Washington State. And so you would think that being a Washington State service for Washington tribal people, we would only hire from here. But we know that for a couple of reasons, we could hire from out of state. One is that we all know in behavioral health how difficult it is to find people. We know that. But second to that, and I think more importantly, is that there are times when you live in a small community, like most tribal people do. Some of us live in small reservations, and even small could be 5,000 people, right? But we are all really interconnected. And so being able to talk to another Native person, perhaps from somewhere else that's removed, even a couple of tribes away, is more comforting to me as a Native person. I want to talk to someone who understands what I need, but I also want to talk to someone who I don't see every day, who potentially is the person that works at the gas station, someone I see a lot. Maybe, you know, it's a person that I just don't like, right? So this happens in small communities, and we don't always want to talk to people about our crisis. So we thought that was really important. And the other really beautiful thing, I think, is that we could hire people from other areas in the country, with a nice salary and, Washington State salary, but also they might be living somewhere else. And this financially can benefit their homes and their communities, which I think is really great. Okay, so I'm going to play you a little video that kind of gives an overview of the Native and Strong Lifeline.
In this Everett office,
Sorry about that.
in this Everett office,
Name is Strong, this is Robert, I'm on Road to Layout Tribe member. How could I help you?
each call is a matter of life or death.
A caller called in, he was wanting to commit suicide, he was younger, and I got to share my story about my son.
To Native Crisis Counselor Robert Coberly, it was an expression of pain he was intimately familiar with. His own son was killed 3 years ago.
Heard me? You're like, yeah, I don't want to do that to my dad or my mom. I just trying to help, prevent another parent or anybody else from going through what I'm going through.
The center receives between 10 and 30 calls per day, and that's with minimal advertising or outreach, just word of mouth referrals.
Native and Strong Lifeline, this is Levin. I'm an affiliate of the Tulalip Tribes. How can I help? People, are sharing like milestones they've hit. I'm this many days clean, or, I haven't had any crisis this week or anything like that. And that's, those are great calls. And then it can go as far as, there's people who are actively trying to harm themselves and we have to get them help.
Launched last fall, all 15 counselors at the Native and Strong Lifeline are enrolled tribal members representing different communities and experiences.
How I got into the field was I came from a really bad relationship. I experienced domestic violence.
Counselors like Kevin Arbuckle say sharing a cultural identity with those who call in makes it easier for them to open up and accept help.
We understand, that's the best way I know how to explain it. We understand the generational trauma that people may be experiencing when it comes to like sexual assault. People have a really hard time coming out about that, especially like with Native culture, the stigma, you don't want any stigma on.
The launch of the crisis line comes as the Native community faces a mental health crisis of its own. According to the U.S. Department of Health, suicide is the second leading cause of death for Native people between the ages of 10 and 34.
When people ask us what makes your population so special, right? Like, we're not so special. It's that our suicide rates are actually increasing. A report just came out that our suicide rates are going up while other populations are going down.
Several states are now in talks to launch their own Native crisis lines.
Some things that people like to do is like what's called like the sweat lodge, like that's healing for them. Another thing is people do what's called it's called sage, and you can like sage off. It's supposed to get any bad energies away from you. It's like
Take care of your head, someone walk over.
Meantime, each call Kevin and Robert answer, each person they help, brings them closer to healing their own traumas as well.
It takes power out of the hurt and pain, talking about it, gives me some relief. And so doing this job, it kind of comes full circle. I can help somebody.
Yes, we're helping people, but I don't think people realize they help us too, every day.
To reach the Native Strong Crisis Hotline, simply call 988 and press 4 when prompted. For Facing Race, I'm PJ Randhawa.
All right. I'm always so proud to see our counselors. They're amazing. I'm so proud to have so many of them with us still. They were here at launch. So one of the nice things that I want to share with you, which doesn't always sound nice, is some of our challenges. And I say that they're nice things because we've learned so much that I think is going to help so many of you and so many other people in the future. So our challenges are becoming, we're becoming a true part of 988. It truly is a miracle that this time First People were first, and we actually got something that we really needed to save the lives of our people. And I think that it is an absolute miracle that we are a true part of 988. One of the other challenges that we often face is explaining why culture, tradition, lived experiences, and things like this are more essential than any degree. We love education, and we want that for ourselves, our children, our grandchildren. We want that for our nieces and nephews, our neighbors and our friends, but that isn't always the reality. And we know that lived experiences are so important and so relatable for many of our people. Some of our challenges were also just not having a model to emulate as we went, because going first is always the toughest thing. Getting the word out to tribes and to Native people while simultaneously building the program with no advertising was really tough. So we're out talking to tribes and we're out talking to individuals and trying to share with the communities who we are, but we're also trying to build this program at the same time. Keeping our messaging and branding relevant to Indigenous people, as opposed to adding a ton of government branding to our marketing materials. We think that this would render our material and our logos unrelatable and essentially valueless. And we say that because, again, our team is all Native, and we all decided that when you see things that say, well, there's nothing specific, but like the Department of Authority, that doesn't seem welcoming and that doesn't seem good. It doesn't seem to a Native person like something that I'd want to call. And so it's really important for us to keep those things off of our branding whenever we possibly can. We hope that people in the future will take that into consideration with the Native and Strong line. Some of our victories, someone called us. There were many nights when we were worried that maybe nobody would call. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe we didn't need this. Maybe nobody would trust us and maybe nobody would call. And that's not what happened. Someone did call. And 4,000 incredible and beautiful someones have called us since we launched last November. So it was projected that we would have about 3,000 callers, and we've had approximately 4,000 callers, which I think is pretty great. We are excited to be a model for others to follow, or a potential path for the Native and Strong Lifeline to expand to other states. Our numbers are increasing steadily each month with even the most minimal of advertising. And importantly, we have managed to retain Ken. He is our OG, our original guy. He was our very first Native and Strong Lifeline counselor, and he's incredible. We're really proud of Ken. He actually just graduated as well and now has his bachelor's degree. And Ken is incredible, and we're really lucky to have him. So a lot of our staff was retained. We still have most of the original people that signed on for the Native and Strong Lifeline. So we are very fortunate to still have them. All right, and this is a message from Ken, so hopefully you can hear this.
My name is Ken. I'm enrolled Colville. I live on the Yakima Nation Reservation. I work for the Native and Strong Lifeline. People call in and talk about having hard situations that they feel like they cannot get out of. My job is to be there for people in times of crisis and to be able to help them find a way moving forward. The Native and Strong Lifeline offers mental health support. Call 988 and press 4.
Always really happy to see that, because we worked really hard. You know, we were kind of our own advertising campaign for a while. And so it's really nice that we have something real that we didn't create with a Word document. So what is next for us? So right now, the Native and Strong Lifeline is creating a follow-up program, which we think is a really good way to support our callers, but especially our familiar callers and people that frequently need support. We also know that it's a natural progression to have a follow-up program. So at VOA, we've got 988 has follow-up programs, and now Native and Strong will have that. So we will have the tribal 988 follow-up program we're really excited about. We also are summoning the text and chat angels. So what we would like to do, what our goal is, and what I hope to include soon, is chat and text for the Native and Strong Lifeline. I, of course, can't make any promises, but this is something that we really want to happen. And this is one of the biggest goals that I have over the next year, because we know that we all know that young people are chatting and texting, and that is like their primary form of communication. And so it's really important for us to be able to capture that. And so we are summoning that and hoping for the best. But we're very excited for our growth and expansion. And every day we just get a little bit more people calling. So I think that we might have some time for questions, comments, or ideas, but I will ask everyone the kind ones only at this time. Any unkind things, I will do those at other meetings. So I really wouldn't mind hearing from people about some of their ideas and different elements that could be added to the Native and Strong line, or things that we're not thinking about. And also just how can we help you all?
So if you have any, thank you, Rochelle. Thank you so much for sharing. If you have any questions, like Rochelle said, questions, ideas, or comments, please enter those into the chat. Any questions?
Feel free to unmute if you would like to ask Rochelle a question while we have her. I know Rochelle is on a tight schedule today and needs to depart this call early. So we truly value your time, Rochelle, sharing that with us. Such great information. I love how the calls are answered and identified by the tribal member and their affiliation. That is so welcoming. Jewel.
We have a couple in there. Yeah. Marvin asked, just wondering if Nooksack has reached out.
So Nooksack, so all of the tribes here we are working with in our sister program. So we have the Native and Strongline, but we also have the Native Resource Hub. And so this is like our sister program and our follow-up program. All the tribes in Washington are reached out to. But now that we have officially started our advertising campaign, all of the tribes will be receiving material. All the Washington State tribes will be receiving our material, which was just given to us. And so we're working with as many tribes as we can to find out, you know, when their members call, what kind of services do you have that we can offer them if they're wanting their own tribal services? So yes, Nooksack, we've reached out to Nooksack, but again, any outreach is wonderful. So if you have any other connections, we'd be happy to have them.
Nice, thank you. And then Joel Cunningham asked, do you have long-term goals of expanding this into a national program?
So I will speak for myself and those on my team. It is absolutely our goal to do that. When I signed on to do this, to work with the Native and Strong Lifeline, it was always my intention that this would be something for not just Washington State relatives, but across the country. It's really important to us. And, you know, we want to make sure that all of our brothers and sisters across Indian country have this. And we just need to figure out a way to get ourselves in the same rooms and talk about this so that we can begin working on it and doing the actions.
Eric Reese put in the chat, how do I apply? Do you have a link where they can refer people to apply?
Yes. So actually, I don't know if these slides will be shared, but they absolutely can. I know that we put our information on the back, but our website is there. So I think it's the VOA website, and the Native Resource Hub and the Native and Strong Lifeline are connected. So please go there and apply. That would be awesome.
Anna Killips asked, if someone from Michigan were to dial 988-4, would they be able to receive help as well? I know the state of Michigan is working on increasing their cultural inclusion.
So right now we have, again, it's only for people with a Washington State area code, which is why we have that bigger goal of getting this out to everybody else, because we know it's not perfect. So if you called your local, if you're in Michigan and that was your area code and you called, you would not hear the press 4 option for the Native and Strong line. So that would just not be present at all. And we unfortunately don't have a way to give out a different separate number than 988 because we wouldn't have the capacity to take on everybody in the nation, although we would like to do that in the future.
Nice, thank you. And then Aaron Kashim asked, I appreciate that you all, or stated, I appreciate that you all thought outside of the box, outside of the Washington box, and hired outside of state, a creative way to be able to have support for folks who maybe aren't from their specific community, but still can provide support from the lived experience perspective.
Well, one of the things that I found too is that we having people from different tribes all over, everyone brings so much richness, and we have, you know, these things where we're sharing information with each other. And so hiring was such, people said, well, maybe you're poaching from other people that need their 988 services. And I really, and I know I've said it, but were you all really hankering over these Indigenous people that you were all going to hire? Because I didn't see it that way. And so we wanted them, right? We wanted them to work with us. And so that was one of our solutions. Yeah. Thank you.
Ina said thank you. And then Rebecca asked kind of similar question. If someone in the Navajo Nation and we refer them to use the 988 number, would they still have access to press the option 4?
No, unfortunately, they wouldn't. Like I said, if you, any area code other than the Washington state ones, which I'm not sure which all is included, and they're not too many, but if it's anything else, the option just won't exist for anybody that calls from a different area code.
Any other comments, questions, or ideas? You can unmute yourself. You want to just ask. Oh, we have Lenora. I think this is very helpful for so many. Looking forward to seeing this expand to others. I am a veteran and so many have been able to use this service and it has been so helpful. And then Rebecca Johnson said, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Yes, similarly, Lenora Miigwech, thank you for sharing that and drawing attention to that the veteran option. Many tribal communities working with their tribal veterans and accessing additional resources. Here in the state of Minnesota, our governor visited on the proclamation day for suicide prevention, Veteran Suicide Prevention Day, and shared that that veteran option has been used and accessed over 1 million times here in the state since the 3-digit transition. So very important, and all of our different sectors that are able to access additional resources. Again, Rochelle, we are so appreciative of your time and info share. Lenora, were you wanting to unmute? I see a hand up.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
I just
welcome.
wanted to ask, my question is that if a person is a veteran, do they have to specify if they want to go to your 988, or are they able to do either or do you guys work together with that? Because there are, natives who are veterans as well. So I just want to know how that would work.
So really, I'm glad that you're asking, Lenora. So one of the things that we know is that Native people serve at an extremely high rate in the service. So we have a lot of veterans on the reservation I live on right now. All of our street names are after veterans that have served from this tribe. But it really is an option, right? Because you don't have to choose any option when you call. It's just if someone wants that specialized service. But also, there are times when somebody will call one or the other. Like, I'm a veteran, but I'm calling you today because I really just wanted to talk not about veteran issues. So that's something that we actually were just discussing yesterday. And there are a lot of times when Indigenous people will be like, you know what, today, this is my tribe, right? I'm a veteran and this is who I want to speak with. So it really is just another option for people to come to.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like we had a question in the chat from Julie. And where are other Native 988 lifelines active now?
So there are no other Native lifelines in the United States. This is the first one. There aren't any others. I know that a lot of people are interested, a lot of states and tribes are, and that is, again, is our goal. But Washington State is the only one right now that has this tribal option. They do call it, with SAMHSA and Vibrant, and I understand it's a pilot program. But for us, it's a real program that we intend to keep and we want to have for a very long time. And so right now we're checking it out to see if it's good and to see if it is needed. And I think that we're all seeing that it is. Thank you.
And then we have another question. Is it possible for the slides, your slides, Rochelle, to be shared with the group?
Absolutely. Please, absolutely take them and utilize them, do whatever it is that has to be done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions, comments, ideas?
We appreciate the feedback, the interest, the comments, questions, ideas so far, so helpful. And again, just, coming towards this common goal of reaching all of our tribal and Native families, relatives across Indian country. And so Rochelle, we thank you again, and you are most welcome to stay on as long as you're possible today as we move towards the listening session portion. And Rochelle got a view of this already too, so she has some insights. And this is where we'll gain more ideas. So if something comes to you throughout, please feel free to add that in the chat. If you have more ideas for Rochelle, we're happy to share the recording. She'll have that and can reach out. She has her contact information, share it there. And maybe you want to pop that in the chat, Rochelle, your email before you depart today. That would be fabulous. So Miigwech again. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. And again, I'll put my information here. And if anyone thinks of anything later, which we always do, please don't feel concerned. I will absolutely respond to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rochelle. I really appreciate your presentation and the knowledge that you shared with us today. But we are now going to move into our listening session portion of the NLC, and this is where we will ask for your feedback. I am going to share my screen, and Mark is going to put a link in the chat. You're going to click on that link, and it's going to take you to this Jamboard. Can you guys all see the Jamboard? Okay, great. Once you get into the Jamboard, we're going to go through these slides, and we'll go through the presentation. We'll ask you some questions and get some feedback. And if you're not familiar, we're going to do a quick practice session so that way you can get familiar. And I'll wait until people can get in here. And this is completely anonymous. As you can see up here, as people are popping in, you are assigned a little animal there. So we have a capybara. I've never heard of that. And then we have a buffalo, we have a duck, and we have some more animals popping in. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over to this little sticky note. You're going to click on it and it's going to pop up. Can you guys see that? Okay. And then I'm going to do a little test, and you can practice a couple of times just so you can get familiar. And then you're going to save it. And then you'll hit cancel. And it's your response will pop in here, and then you can move it around the page. So wherever you want to place it is fine with me. Thank you so much for the test. All right. So we have a few in there. Thank you. I'll move them over as they're coming in. All right. So is everyone familiar now? Comfortable? All right. So I'm going to go ahead, and then they can be, we're going to have some slides where you can duplicate someone's answer. So if you want to just mirror what someone else is saying because you have the same idea, you can just click duplicate there. Did you see the little 3 dots? Click duplicate and it'll make the same response. So that way we don't have to, what do we got there? So I'm going to go ahead and delete these, and then we'll get started. So the first scale is, please share your community's perspective of 988 by rating the following on a scale of 1 to 10. And that's personal awareness level of 988. So what is your community's personal awareness of level of 988? So a scale from 1 to 10. You can just pop in your answer there. Okay. Got a 6. We got a 4, a 7, another 7, some more 4s. Thank you for moving them over. Now we have another 4 there. Okay. Do we have any more responses? Any more?
If
So
at
I'm-
any time you're struggling in here and it's not working or cooperating, please feel free to add your number, send me a Zoom chat as well, if that works for folks.
Thank you, Verna. So we are going to go over to the second scale. So if you click on your link again or move the little scale over here on the top, you can just click over. So we'll go back to 1 and then go to 2. Please share your community's perspective of 988 by rating the following on a scale of 1 to 10. So accessibility of 988. What is the accessibility like for your community on a scale from 1 to 10? You can just add your answers here. Thank you. So we have an 8, a 3, a 9, 5, a 7, another 3, some 4s, okay. Thank you. We got a 5. Okay, so we're going to move over. Again, we're going to move to the next frame. And just so you know, this is going to be open till about 3:30 Pacific time. So you can go back and you can add your scale of what you want to put on here. If you're unsure and you want to check, fill that out. So the next one is please share your community's perspective of 988 by rating the following on a scale of 1 to 10. Relatability of 988 services. What is the relatability of the services provided to your community? We have a 5, some 4s, a 2, a 3, thank you so much. Do we have any more scales? Oh, we got looks like a 6 there. 3. All right, so we're going to move to slide 4. Again, please share your community's perspective of 988 by rating the following on a scale of 1 to 10. And that's the knowledge of tribal resources. What is the knowledge of tribal resources? So we have a 2, some 3s, a 7, a 6. Okay. One more for me. Please share your community's perspective. We're going to go to slide 5, sorry. Please share your community's perspective of 988 by rating the following on a scale of 1 to 10. Are services designed to specifically support American Indians and Alaskan Natives? So are services designed to specifically support American Indians and Alaskan Natives? And we have some 0s. Looks like we have a 1 up here. We have a 2, work in progress. Thank you for the comment. A 1, some more 1s. Hey, Verna. Looks like we got everyone for this one.
Nice. Thank you all for your genuine feedback. And next, we are looking at considering examples of understanding of what happens when an individual contacts 988 and asking for your rating again on the satisfaction level when contacting 988. 1 to 10.
So there we go. We're on slide 6 of the Jamboard. And we have a 1, a 4, a 5. And just a reminder, you can put your sticky, this is where you grab the sticky note to place on there. You just click on it and it should pop up. We have a 1, 4, 7. Are these meant to be zeros?
There are some blanks, yes. There we
Okay.
go.
Okay, looks like we got them there. Oh, we got a 3 right behind there. All right. Okay. And you can still, like I mentioned, this will be up until 3:30, so you can go back and if you're unsure right now of the response, you can go back and add that in.
Thank you, Regina. And if folks want to jump over to the chat and enter there, for the next response, we are asking, thinking back on this first year, reflecting on 988 efforts, we would like you to share with us some highlights in ways that you may have been able to promote awareness of 988 in your area. I know a lot of good work was happening out there when connecting with communities. And so if you have something that you'd like to share out, please feel free to enter that into the chat. Areas that you may have been successful in promoting on some of our regional learning community gatherings, as well as sites with the regional site visits. Communities have shared some of those billboards, some of those flyers, and simply a share of the resources during some of the suicide prevention month awareness activities in September with a box and billboards. So if you have something similar, and maybe you have images you'd like to share or a link to your social sites, that would be great to share in the chat with your peers here today. And if you think of something later, again, Regina, I believe there's a way they can add that at the end, maybe on a blank slide with the Jamboard as well.
Great. We do have a something in the chat from Kim Hinman. We don't have a lot, but we have a 24-hour crisis line with our local CMH Friendship Society. And Ami said Saginaw Chippewa Tribe of Michigan has walking crisis counselors, after hours crisis call in therapists, listening ear for crisis calls. And then we have Aaron Casham. Our behavioral health services have their own 24/7 support available. Tribal members contact the tribal police department, non-emergency number, and ask to speak to the counselor on call. And then, let's see, I lost my chat, sorry. We have Jewel Cunningham, police implemented with local call center to refer all Native callers to our tribal serving org.
Wonderful collaborations, examples. Thank you so much for sharing out. Again, if you think of more, please feel free to chime in the chat. And with that, we'll move on to the next topic of discussion. Again, looking at some of what you've all shared already, some of those strategies not achieved, or were there some barriers in ideas, original ideas, goals, and objectives that you may have had in providing this response or connecting with 988, what are some of those potential barriers in accessing 988? Limiting the strategies being met. And so if that was the case, if you wouldn't mind sharing those and then ways that you were able to overcome those barriers. Getting creative. And you can type those in the chat. And I believe Rochelle has left the call. She shared a really good example of their first call received. That call came in and someone called to dial 988. They pressed 4 and they wanted to know that it was a real live person, another tribal member that they were connecting with. And they said, "Are you guys real?" And so, even some of those challenges of connecting and building some trust and rapport, those are helpful to hear how we're overcoming those challenges, any barriers. And it's a little quiet, so we can move on. That's okay. If something comes up, please come back and add it. Those are magic words, Regina, and then something pops up in the chat. And it looks like Ian has shared that we are currently working with our state Department of Health and Human Services agency to integrate tribal resources referrals for all 988 calls.
And we have Joel Cunningham, cold calls to initiate conversations about response to tribal members with call centers. Those are the 2 that we have so far.
Yes, those collaborations are important. Thank you both. Thank you all for chiming in there. And now we're going to jump back to that Jamboard, keeping you all busy and active from all that sugary sweet, so we don't catch that drowsy time. So keeping you jumping back over to the Jamboard. And again, if you see a duplicated response, you're welcome to copy that, add it in, or check it, add a number that you are in agreement and you see this similarity. And so with that, we are inquiring what are current resources available within your community and area that are used to support tribal citizens and tribal members' crisis needs. So if you could list some of those local resources utilized in addressing those crisis needs.
Again, you can pull the sticky note and you can type in your response there and just save it. So with current resources available within your community area that are used to support tribal citizens and tribal members' crisis needs. So when we have mobile crisis teams, not culturally responsive though, they have the crisis line. I can move that over for you. Something in the chat, I think.
Yes, Amos stated that I feel we have already answered this question in the chat. Am I missing something and not understanding? And so I believe your response jumped right to some solutions, some overcoming some barriers, which was the previous ask. And so now identifying those resources that maybe you have, yes. So thank you for that, working with the DHHS agency, integrating those tribal resources. Yes, if it's redundant, thank you for your input in advance. And feel free, maybe you have additional resources to add on here.
Yeah, we have behavioral health services, crisis response team, crisis line, counseling services and crisis lines.
Okay,
Oh, Native Connection Program.
wonderful. So many to list, right? Going back to that CSA, who are our partners? Who are our, we refer to our non-native allies, our co-conspirators helping us right alongside boots on the ground with us. So thank you for that. And we'll keep carrying on here again, as Regina shared, this will be available and left open for a couple more hours. So please, if you're thinking on this, come back and share more information as you see fit this afternoon. The next topic we would like you to share input on is working with those call centers. Have you directly worked with and connected with those call centers to enhance the cultural and community resource trainings and linkages to care that may exist in your programming? And please provide examples if that is the case.
And we are on slide 8 in the Jamboard for you to answer that.
Thank you, Regina.
You're welcome.
Little waboos shown there.
So we have not. Yeah.
And that's fair, right? Everybody is working on their goals and the new calendar, new fiscal calendar year for some, and getting started or reintegrating some of those goals and objectives and updating SAPs along the way. And so perhaps this has not been yet a goal identified or ways to incorporate 988 as a resource. And many of you may be working in that area as recipients of that funding. So we understand and respect it varies across, and that is the goal, is to get that variance. What are the differentiations? And so thank you for that.
We do have a yes, providing cultural trainings during call center quarterly trainings. And we have some no's. Okay. So we're going to move on to slide 9 of the Jamboard. And what are some prominent mental health and substance misuse needs you are aware of in your community? And how could 988 better support these needs? And you can put this just on the sticky note. So you can open up your sticky note and do one, or I'm sorry, let me go back. Let me delete this. That's not what I wanted to do. So you can click on it, do question 1, answer it, and then question 2 and answer that portion. I hope that makes sense. So what are some prominent mental health and substance misuse needs you are aware of in your community? And how can 988 better support these needs? And you'll just put it again on one sticky note. So we're on slide 9 of the Jamboard.
Okay, I was just going to ask if folks are with us accessing that slide.
So we have meth and marijuana is highly prevalent in our community. If we can open this, and they started to answer the second one.
Prominent mental health and substance misuse needs in your community. And ways.
So
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. So they added to the second one, we need crisis help, mostly with homelessness and treatment resources. And then we have one that says grief loss has been a significant mental health substance use contributing factor for folks seeking after hours resources. The second question, training / support for staff to provide support for loss. And then this one here, overdose deaths due to fentanyl. I'm not sure how 988 can help. Again, this is going to be open till 3:30 Pacific time, so you can go back and you can add your responses. Oh, we have a 1 through 4, alcohol dependency, overdose, marijuana, more access to behavioral health services for youth. Youth, particularly LGBTQ and youth experiencing crisis.
And I hear that question there, uncertainty of how 988 can help with that. And I think that leads into the next topic, Regina.
Yeah, it does. So slide 10, please share what collaboration would look like to meet the needs you shared earlier.
And perhaps others have ideas specific to that input, that comment. Examples that have worked, maybe what is working well in collaborations, maybe you could share that out. And if not, what are maybe some hopes and wishes there? What could it look like in collaboration to meet those needs shared?
Go. Collaboration on the IT side to have options for youth other than calling in over the phone, such as text and chat. What Rochelle was saying, that they're working towards that because they know the youth, they're so technology savvy. And so they need that technology upgrade. And collaboration is important between tribe, call centers, MCT, law enforcement, emergency response, mental health providers. Needs to be a strong network. Thank you. Don't see any more, Verna, coming in, but like I mentioned, it'll be open until 3:30, so you can pop in Pacific time, so you can pop in and add some responses if they come to you later on what that will look like.
Yes, we value your input and we'll collaborate to combine the responses. We will share the staff with SAMHSA leadership. And again, thank you to the GPOs on today's call that are retaining this information as well. And the information we provide back to SAMHSA leadership with our partnership, as well as those federal partners, SPRC, Vibrant, et cetera, working on these efforts. And so your feedback is important. We know there are commonalities and themes that we find when we hold these listening sessions, and we truly value that. And all the work you're doing on top with Native Connections as well. So Chimigwich. And with that, Regina, I believe we are ready to conclude. We have had a full discussion here and some sharing. Oh, yes, we added these in. Thank you. We added in some slides of what some communities have been able to promote, as I mentioned, with those youth outreach and prevention resource kits as shown there, that image on the right. 988 resources with a suicide alertness training for everyone with youth held. One of our Great Lakes Northern Plains grantees recently shared this GLIC, the Gerald L. Ignace Indian Health Center, on the RLC. And so just robust, programming and education prevention for youth, full of activities, including lacrosse following that prevention workshop, sharing those resources out. And they have one more example there, and this was shared by the MHA Nation, also Great Lakes Northern Plains RLC, in the recent gathering where they held a prevention walk, and just using that logo in partnership, collaborating, finding out what it looks like, calling that number yourself, finding out what it looks like and what happens, so that when I refer a loved one to 988, I know what I can anticipate they would experience and expect, and talking them through that. And so great images, Native Connections partners there working across Indian country to share and promote in ways they're doing that. Thank you, Regina. And
So do
then,
we,
yes,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Yes, and that does conclude that portion of the listening session. We again want to acknowledge and give gratitude to Ms. Rochelle Hamilton for joining us and sharing out about the Native and Strong Lifeline, updates on 988, information that you all shared here, so valuable. And SAMHSA does read our reports and we'll get the information back. And so as Rochelle and as Regina shared, that Jamboard is open for a couple more hours here, and we want your input. So if something comes to mind you'd like to share out, please feel free to come back to that. Any additional comments as we close out this National Learning Community session? Grantees, thank you for joining, staying on through the duration. I know everyone's schedules are busy. I don't see anyone unmuting. Miigwech, Jewel, glad you're here. Thank you for sharing all your hard work.
And then they also, on the Jamboard, Verna, they can, if they have any questions or ideas, comments for Rochelle, they can add those to the blank slides on the Jamboard.
Wonderful. Thank you, Regina, so much for your help and efforts with this task, 988 task with SAMHSA, and we appreciate everyone's time. So I'm not seeing any additional comments, questions. We appreciate you all returning, and we look forward to upcoming events, Native Connections World gatherings soon. So Miigwech. Thank you all. Take care. Have a blessed day. And Jigwagam, and we will see you later.
Thank you, everyone.